This is the new Honda NSX, long awaited, packed with innovation and complexity. And this is the NSX R, the purest expression of the original NSX, and more than any 911 Turbo or McLaren 570S, the very best way to determine whether the new NSX is a success, whether it's really an NSX at all. Not many people will say this out loud, but the original NSX in standard form is a tricky car to drive, and for me it doesn't quite deliver the goods. In fact, the legend of Ayrton Senna being involved in its development always made me wonder if you need to be supernaturally gifted to really exploit it. My memories of the R couldn't be more different, and whilst it clearly still worked for Senna, I think mere mortals with just a Senna t-shirt in the cupboard will enjoy it too. I haven't driven one for 10 years, but I'm excited to get reacquainted. This car, kindly loaned to us by Johan Bonnier, is stunning. With 14,000 kilometres from new, it's only been in the UK long enough for a thorough refresh and a new set of sticky Yokohama Advan Neova AD08R tyres. We're going to scrub them in at Anglesey on a mercifully dry and unseasonably warm winter's day. You'll have seen this track before, and we make no apologies for coming here. It's an awesome place, and the perfect playground to discover if the NSX R still lives up to the hype.
I don't want to turn this into a history lesson on the NSX R, because to do that would be a waste of an amazing opportunity to tell you what this car is like to drive, the most important thing. And it is such a feast for the senses. So I want to talk about that, and we can do some VO about all the numbers and everything. So this is the purest essence of NSX that you could have, and it's maybe unfair to compare the new one to this ultimate evolution, but I don't care. We had the chance to drive this car, and you have to if you do. So what's special about it? Well, the NSX, the base car, this amazing view out of the front. You just feel like you've got a load of car behind you, and you're right at the tip of this arrow that's flying along. So it feels unique, the environment, and everything's dialed up in this NSX R, because as you can hear and probably see, it's such a physical car. The noise, the effort of the non-assisted steering, you just have to work it. You have to work it. But it rewards you with this amazing balance, this noise, and just this feeling that you're driving something truly, truly special. I get to drive a lot of cool stuff, but very little of it gives this feeling of just all-enveloping, just utter involvement. This car is a sort of legend, an absolute legend. If you're into your JDM stuff, it's the car.
The first generation NSX R was the very first Type R and arrived in '92. It was in production for 3 years. This second generation car, which was launched in 2002, is much rarer and benefits from a 6-speed gearbox and a host of other upgrades. It features a carbon fibre bonnet and hollow carbon fibre rear wing, and back in '02, Honda claimed the aerodynamic changes created negative lift. I think they call that downforce in press packs today. Weight saving is extreme. No sound deadening, beautiful carbon Kevlar seats trimmed in lightweight fabric, no central locking, lightweight forged rims, a smaller battery, thinner glass for the rear partition, lightweight carpets, and even a flyweight gear gator trim for that lovely titanium shifter. Dampers are by Showa and spring rates are massively ramped up, and the R features stiffer bushing and thicker anti-roll bars. The engine is fully balanced and hand-built, but the 3.2 litre V6 is still said to produce just 276 horsepower with torque at 224 pounds-foot. The box has a lower final drive for added response, and even the throttle pedal travel is shorter to connect you completely with that engine. This nickel and copper alloy key really is the gateway to an extraordinary drivetrain.
Yeah, this car is the icon of icons if you're into your Jap stuff. There's Skylines 400R and things like that. But I think because the NSX is so loved, because it's normally aspirated and just everything about the myth of this car, it's just the icon, and it deserves that status, I have to say. I haven't driven one of these things for a long time, and it's even better than I remember. What makes it special then? What can we identify as the NSX distilled in this, the NSX R? The motor, the drivetrain. There is no slack. The gearbox, the motor, the way they're connected. Unreal. I mean, there is not a micron of slack. Whatever you do with your throttle, instant reaction, no driveline shunt, nothing. It's so good. It's so good. The steering, non-assisted. So much feel and feedback. It's heavy. And it's physical, but it's worth it because the information you get through it is something else. Through this quick corner, the way you can just turn it in here and then just feel the steering, giving you all that info, kicking back at you a little bit. It's so cool. I love this car. And I think what really does it for me, the quicker you drive this thing, the harder you drive it, the more you throw at it, the more you either refine your technique or just beast it, doesn't matter. It just wants to reward that commitment. It gets better and better. For a car of this age to perform so well on the track, to provide this level of just intensity, it is unbelievable. This car is awesome. If the new car can live up to this, even half of what this car does, it's going to be pretty special. I have no idea what to expect, but it's got to be good. It's got to be good. To get anywhere near this thing, it's got to be exceptional.
Compared to the simplicity of the NSX R, the new car appears as a spaceship. The lines are sharp and distinctive, but it's what lies beneath that's truly impressive. Cradled within a mixed material space frame chassis is a longitudinally mounted 3.5 litre V6 with 2 turbochargers. It produces 500 horsepower and revs to 7,500 RPM. Attached to the internal combustion engine is a 47 horsepower electric motor and a 9-speed dual clutch gearbox. At the front are 2 further electric motors rated at 36 horsepower each and driving each front wheel independently, creating all sorts of clever torque vectoring opportunities. The maximum combined output is 573 horsepower and 476 pound-foot of torque. Suspension is by double wishbones all round, and the NSX uses magneto rear logical dampers. The Trick 4-wheel drive system is labelled Sport Hybrid Super Handling All-Wheel Drive, but it has its work cut out to counter the NSX's 1,725 kilos. The NSX R weighs just 1,270, remember? The NSX has quiet, sport and sport plus driving modes, but today we'll stick to track mode to see if somewhere within it lurks the spirit of the NSX R.
The new NSX is a car with a lot of different facets to its personality, lots of different modes, this incredibly complex hybrid system. But today we're on track, so we're going to focus on that purity that we've just experienced in the old NSX R. It's so good. And see if this thing can deliver the same sort of driving experience, the same adrenaline of that car, which was so good. Okay, first impressions. Like the R, get this lovely view out. It's not quite as good as the old or a new McLaren actually, which seems to have followed the NSX in that respect. but you've got a lovely slim A-pillars, big view out, gorgeous seat, just like the NSX R. But what you don't have initially is a connection with the car, because the steering is completely devoid of feel, really light, very strange sensation. And the brake pedal, it's got this regen braking, just doesn't give you the information that comes streaming back in the NSX R. However, there is good news, because this thing, it's got some really cool stuff going on actually. We're running on the less extreme Continental tyres, and there's not a huge amount of mechanical grip, but what there is adjustability that I just didn't really expect there to be. You can put this car wherever you want it, you can slide it, you can just trim the line into corners, and it's impressive how it feels lighter than it is. It is a heavy car, but even so, the fact they've managed to disguise that with this torque vectoring much of the time is really impressive. Now, you can probably tell I'm a lot calmer, and the car's a lot calmer as well, because everything just comes a bit easier in this car. The performance, you don't need to rev it quite as high, although it does sound good when you do. The steering's so light, it slides quite low speed, weirdly. So there's less effort. I'm not going to say more reward, there's not more reward, there's less effort to get it to do what you want, but somehow it doesn't feel quite as satisfying as getting that old car to sing, which is so addictive, it's untrue. So I came into this not really knowing what to expect from this car, and at the end of the day, I'm still not fully, I don't think I fully know the car, and I think that's probably quite a cool thing if you're an owner. When you're just mucking around for the camera slide in the car, it's really, really good fun. When you go for a lap time, you start to feel the weight, the front wants to push, the torque vectoring can't do anything on the way into the corner when you're off throttle, and the nose is pushing wide. And so it's a funny car, because at times it feels sort of inspirationally good, and then at other times it feels a bit muddled. So it's a really, it's an interesting car, and I like that it feels like its own thing, which is what an NSX should feel like. I'm just not quite getting that incredible precision and focus that you get with the R. Now, that is an R, not an NSX, so you'd expect that, but we're, 14 years on, 15 years on from that car. It doesn't seem unreasonable to expect this thing to replicate those thrills, that absolute raw excitement, but in a more accessible, more powerful, more usable package. It doesn't quite do that, this car. It's, like I say, I'm still intrigued by it. I want to spend more time in it, which is a good thing. I'm not won over, but I like so much about it, and I think it's a fascinating car, and to see where it goes next will be really cool. So like I say, moments of brilliance, and moments where it's just not quite hitting the spot. That's the steering, the brake feel, the traction control if you leave it on, even in track mode, just feels a bit grabby, it's not intuitive. You don't need to when it's this easy to slide. We're not quite there yet. I think this car's got massive potential. It's a fascinating thing. It sounds intriguing, it looks intriguing. It's got 9 gears and it does all this weird stuff, but it actually feels quite natural. Yeah, I'm still puzzled by this car. Highly amused, but not 100% convinced as yet.
As you can tell, the NSX is a tricky car to fall in love with, but it's similarly tricky to put your finger on just why that should be. Setting a lap time highlights the problems once again. It's very tricky to read the brake pedal, the front end isn't as secure as I'd like, and the torque vectoring, clever though it is, can't hide the car's weight when you're really trying to exploit everything it has to offer. Anglesey's surface is cold and also covered in debris from a drift event held just before our booking, but even so, the Continentals don't offer huge grip. Perhaps the optional Pirelli Trofeo R tyres might have helped to unlock the car's potential. As it is, the NSX sets a 1:39.08 around the international circuit. I think that time is in reach for the NSX R and its sticky Yokohamas, but frustratingly the original 112 mph speed limiter is still activated. We can temporarily disable it, but then the engine won't rev beyond 7,500 RPM, so a lap time will have to wait. No matter what the stopwatch says, the new NSX is a fascinating take on the usable supercar and a unique driving experience. It is an NSX, even if it's a very different NSX to the extreme, outrageous and completely spellbinding NSX R. Right now it can't match the sheer excitement of the R, but the potential is clear to see. For now though, I need one more lap in the R. This thing is truly wonderful. I'd rather have it than a Ferrari F40 all day long. Seriously, this is love.